Before you watch this video, I'm just warning you. Once you see these flaws with Mario's model, you can't go back. However, there's also good news for you. I fixed all of them. If you've ever looked closely at the Mario 64 player model, you'll realize that instead of being an interconnected model, it's just a bunch of limbs slammed together. Especially if the model is animated, this looks really ugly. You see how someone stole his kneecaps and took a bite out of his elbow? That's exactly what I mean. Back then, Nintendo could only put these limbs individually, and then they had to close them off with polygons, so they wouldn't open up when Mario rotates his arm. If they had gone for a full polar body like this, it would have opened up like this, and you would have been able to see the inside of Mario's arm, which would just be invisible. The way animations work in Mario 64 is that the game transforms the positions of the vertices upon loading them. For example, for a leg gear, it loads the upper part, transforms it, then it loads the lower part, transforms it, and then it loads the shoe and also transforms it. However, by abusing the vertex buffer intelligently, we can keep the previous vertices loaded, allowing us to connect the new limbs to the vertices of the prior limbs, which has the effect of removing the gaps that appear in Mario's model when he's animated. Now, doing this sounds easy enough, but the fact that Mario 64's graphics engine can only keep 16 vertices in the buffer at any time, and absolutely no tool but a hex editor allows us to do this thing, makes this a lot more difficult than I had hoped. This is why no one attempted to do this to Mario's model before. However, this week I finally gave it a try. And even though modeling in a hex editor is really not the most fun thing in the world, after about 12 hours of non-stop looking at numbers, it turned out perfectly. This is what came out of all my work. Maybe it doesn't look super impressive at first, but if you put it side by side with the original model, you can really see a difference. Which is way more significant for Nintendo 64. This new model is 124 polygons less. It sounds laughably low for nowadays, but back then, when the game could hardly render 2000 triangles in a frame, this is amazing. For comparison, the entirety of Bob-omb's Battlefield is 1067 polygons. Imagine how much more detail Nintendo could have added to the game with those 124 polygons. I'd also like to point out this takes no more computing resources, since as I explained earlier, no additional transformations are being performed. The opposite, less vertices means less calculations. And that's about it. I hope you guys are just as enthusiastic about this as I am. I mean, I've been hacking this game for like 7 years, so finding new things in the engine like this just make me really happy.